Alexander the Great conquered the known world by age 30 and was dead by 32. For 2,300 years historians have argued about what killed him. A forensic analysis published in 2019 suggests the answer is stranger than any of them imagined. As you consider the life of Alexander, who ruled over 2 million square miles of territory, you might wonder, what could have brought down such a powerful and feared leader at just 32 years old, in the prime of his life, after having defeated the Persian Empire in 330 BC. In the years leading up to his death, Alexander had been on a campaign of conquest, having defeated the Persians at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC, and then going on to capture Persepolis, the capital of the Persian Empire, in 330 BC. By 325 BC, Alexander had begun to consolidate his power, establishing over 70 cities, including Alexandria in Egypt, which would become a major center of culture and learning. As you examine the events of 323 BC, you see Alexander returning to Babylon, the capital of his empire, after a long and arduous campaign in India, where he had defeated the Indian king Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes in 326 BC. You might ask, what role did the grueling Indian campaign play in Alexander's eventual demise, given that he had marched over 12,000 miles in just 8 years, from 334 BC to 323 BC? On June 2, 323 BC, Alexander attended a banquet hosted by Medius, one of his admirals, where he reportedly drank a large quantity of wine, possibly over 12 quarts, according to the ancient Greek historian Arrian. Over the next 2 weeks, Alexander's condition rapidly deteriorated, with symptoms including fever, abdominal pain, and paralysis, as described by the Roman historian Quintus Curtius Rufus. By June 10, 323 BC, Alexander was unable to speak, and by June 13, 323 BC, he was dead, at the age of 32, leaving behind a vast empire and a power vacuum that would be filled by his generals, including Ptolemy and Seleucus. As you consider the various theories surrounding Alexander's death, including typhoid fever, alcohol poisoning, and poisoning by his generals, you might wonder, which of these theories is supported by the forensic evidence, given that the ancient Greek historian Plutarch reported that Alexander's body did not decay for several days after his death, a fact that has been cited as evidence of poisoning. The forensic analysis published in 2019, which examined the symptoms and circumstances of Alexander's death, suggests that he may have died from a rare neurological condition called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which can cause paralysis and respiratory failure, and is consistent with the symptoms described by the ancient historians. On the other hand, the theory of poisoning by his generals, which was first proposed by the ancient Greek historian Aristobulus, is supported by the fact that several of Alexander's generals, including Ptolemy and Seleucus, stood to gain from his death, and that Alexander had been acting increasingly erratic and paranoid in the months leading up to his death, as reported by the Roman historian Quintus Curtius Rufus. The death of Alexander had a profound impact on the ancient world, leading to a series of wars and power struggles among his generals, which would eventually result in the division of his empire into 4 main kingdoms, including the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in Mesopotamia, and the Antigonid dynasty in Macedon, as described by the ancient Greek historian Diodorus Siculus. As you consider the aftermath of Alexander's death, you might ask, how did the division of his empire shape the course of Western history, given that the Ptolemaic kingdom would go on to become a major center of culture and learning, and the Seleucid Empire would play a significant role in the development of Buddhism and the spread of Greek culture throughout Asia? The fact that Alexander's empire was divided among his generals, rather than being passed down to a single heir, had significant consequences for the development of the ancient world, leading to a period of instability and conflict that would last for centuries, as described by the Roman historian Polybius. As you reflect on the life and death of Alexander the Great, you are left with a profound question: what would have happened if Alexander had lived to old age, and been able to consolidate his empire and pass it down to a single heir, given that he had already begun to establish a stable system of government and administration, as described by the ancient Greek historian Arrian, and that his empire would have potentially stretched from Greece to India, encompassing over 2 million square miles of territory, and shaping the course of Western history for centuries to come.